between our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, and Sarah Isgur, who served in the Trump Justice Department. So you look at these 6 cases, Dan, let me begin with you. Which is the most serious legal threat to Donald Trump right now?
Well, look, let's separate it. Donald Trump personally versus those close to Donald Trump, right? If you were going to say those close to Donald Trump, I'd say the fake elector scheme that the feds have been investigating.
Part of the January 6th investigation.
Correct. I think that for many people close to Donald Trump, that could be potentially the most perilous. For Donald Trump personally, I think that you've got the document case now. I think, and something happened this week that I think kind of changed the tenor of this. When you have the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals with 2 Trump appointees coming forward and not just rejecting Donald Trump's argument, but completely rebuking it, almost mocking the argument and mocking the lower court, it's not just not helpful. I think it sets a tone that's potentially dangerous for him in terms of what the Department of Justice may do next.
And Sarah Isgur, on that point, you also have this special master who was chosen by Donald Trump's lawyers, really pushed back on them as well.
Absolutely. Fascinating that Donald Trump's team picked a judge who had served on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, had dealt so much with classified material, now really taking this case, picking it up from where Judge Cannon had left off, and telling the Trump lawyers they need to say in court, in a court filing that could be sanctionable, whether the president ever declassified anything, whether they actually believe and have evidence that anything was planted at Mar-a-Lago, all the things that Trump has said publicly, this judge is saying, put up or shut up.
Yeah, so Dan, let's follow up on that right there. And so we haven't heard it from his lawyers so far. What happens to them if they then make a filing in the court saying, no, he did declassify the documents or there was planted evidence?
Well, they're going to have to show evidence, right? They can't. That's the difference. Is Donald Trump can go out publicly and say, this is what happened. Okay. The difference is when you file it in a legal document, you actually have to provide some evidence, some facts behind it. I mean, Donald Trump keeps speculating very strongly that evidence was planted. And that's why Judge Dearie is saying, well, please itemize for us exactly what evidence you think might have been planted. They're not going to do that. It's the same thing with declassification. It's you're telling us that it's declassified. Which documents? Identify it specifically, and then provide evidence as to how or when that happened. None of that has occurred. So you really do have to separate out what Donald Trump says for the court of public opinion and what his lawyers will or won't say in legal documents.
Sarah, Dan mentioned the threat to Donald Trump personally, the threat to those close to him. How about the threat to the Trump Organization? We saw the lawsuit from the New York Attorney General this week. Can she succeed?
I think this is a uphill climb in parts of her lawsuit. You know, Bill Barr, the former attorney general, who has pulled no punches about Donald Trump after leaving office, saying, for instance, that the special master probe in Mar-a-Lago is terrible, what Donald Trump did with classified material. He has said that this New York case appears to be a political stunt, that there is no factual basis to say that, for instance, Donald Trump's children would have had knowledge of his personal financial disclosure, which is what this is about. So certainly she seems to have some facts for the case, but overall, that seems to help Donald Trump. It's a civil case, not criminal. It sort of creates this pile-on effect that, by and large, will allow the Trump team to pivot more to that case and then not pay attention to the classified documents, the elector probe.
And it could be delayed for some time, but it's more but if it shuts down the Trump Organization in New York, that's a lifeline.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. I think this is still likely that they'd settle it. Remember, people keep forgetting that apparently they were in settlement discussions as of a week ago on this case. If they were in settlement discussions, it means that something was kind of close. There was at least something to talk about a possible settlement. So I would expect that that case is going to settle for much less than what she's asking for. Key there, I think, is distinguishing objective facts, meaning the difference between him saying that an apartment was 30,000 feet as opposed to 11,000 feet versus the differences in valuations, right, where people might be able to differ on that issue. So I do think, and I think Sarah makes a good point, which is parts of the lawsuit, and maybe that's where it would have been stronger, is if she had more narrowed the case and really focused on the best argument she had as opposed to the number, right, more than 200. Well, why not focus on the best 40? Maybe instead of going for the big number that obviously gets picked up more by the public at large.
Finally, and we only have a few seconds left, Fulton County, Georgia. some would argue that's the most serious case facing the president.
I think there's a great argument that that's the most serious case. It's a state case. They have state law. They're not bound by the Department of Justice's protocols at this point around elections, for instance. That's the subpoenas of Lindsey Graham and a lot of these other folks about sending that fake slate of electors and the call to the Secretary of State asking him to find votes.
There's an argument, though, that in that case, because I do think that it's possible he'll be indicted there, that case could end up getting thrown out by a federal court, too. We'll have to see.
And that could be years down the road.
Right, what the power is that a state prosecutor has to bring charges against the former president for his role in terms of when he was president.
Thanks you both very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.